the way he angles his body, where he puts all of his body weight on his left hand and just extends just enough to just scrape the pylon. Those are the plays that decide Super Bowls. That's why every single time, I always talk about it, guys, at the beginning of the season, if the team is just good enough around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That isn't something that should just be done every week. No one in the history of football makes plays like this every week outside of Patrick Mahomes.
I want to thank all the talking heads and all the doubt. Yep. Keep it coming. Like, all it does is anytime you can give petty Mahomes the motivation, bro, I'm all for it. That's why I was excited when, all these people were saying these things. It's like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling boosted and juiced by it, can you imagine what he's feeling?
We are live, therefore, it is time. It is Chatting Up the Chiefs post-game show with your host, Lance Twidwell, and my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Our guy, Vaughn Booker, is a little busy, as you can imagine, because he was too busy celebrating before the game, so he's got two things to celebrate tonight. Because as we know, the former Chief great Dante Hall was inducted. Vaughn Booker's his man. Vaughn Booker's friends with Dante. They go way back. So there was a great, special thing for them to. He almost missed it, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, Trevor. That our guy Vaughn almost didn't make it. His damn flight was canceled. But he was there. He was able to make it into, I believe, just last night, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, it is Trevor and I here tonight to celebrate with you. And I'm saying celebrate because obviously we're going to give you guys our take, our opinion on what we saw in tonight's game against the Chiefs and Chargers. But, Trevor, I want to take a second here because we haven't done this yet. We didn't get stogies this week, but instead we got these nice little drinks called Yinglings, Oktoberfest. I felt it was necessary to get a nice little Oktoberfest because, guys, it's October, and the Chiefs just wrapped their 8th consecutive AFC West championship tonight. So let's go ahead. If you have a beer, you have a drink, you have ganja, you have a cigar, whatever you guys got right now, hold that bad boy up. Cheers to y'all.
Cheers. Tastes like victory.
Tastes like victory.
It tastes like victory to me.
Like our guy Travis Kelce said on Pat McAfee, that's a fucking W. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm feeling really good about this team because of the fact that, and we're gonna break down some things that you guys know me. I'm gonna give you guys my criticisms on what I saw because there was a tale of two halves for both teams, for both sides of the ball for the Chiefs, in fact. But I told you guys on The Spoken, and if you guys have not already subscribed to our show on The Spoken, Trevor and I do a show every single Saturday under the Starcade Media umbrella. And what we do is we give you guys a preview and a prediction of what we think is going to happen in each and every matchup. And obviously you know that what we do here is the post game. So they work in unison here. What I told Trevor in this game, going into this game, was I did not share the sentiments of a lot of Chiefs fans and a lot of Chiefs pundits out there when they were talking about how, well, we know it's always close between the Chiefs and the Chargers. They always seem to find a way to make these games close. And, I'm really worried that maybe this might be that game where the Chiefs just come up short, and you guys know that I've been somebody that has been adamant, maybe the most vocal person out there when it comes to the Chiefs' problems at wide receiver and how this offense hasn't been able to click. But I told you guys in this week's show in The Spoken, and I'll say it here again because now we're talking about it from a, hindsight 2020 situation. This was a prime example of why I was not worried, why I said that I did not share those sentiments. Because the Chiefs and Chargers are not rivals. They're division foes, but they're not rivals. The Chiefs are fighting for Super Bowl championships. The Chargers are trying to find a way to get back into the playoffs for the second time in about 6-7 years. They're not the same team. They're not on the same trajectory. They're not on the same level. They're not in the same tier. The only reason we even mention those two together is because they happen to share a division. The Chiefs are the best team in this division for the 8th consecutive season. And I told everybody on this show the Chiefs are going to hold the Chargers to under 20 points. A lot of it had to do with the fact that, yes, I liked the matchup, but also the Chargers are coming in on a short week. And the Chiefs were well rested on 10 days rest, having a frustrating game at home again against the Broncos, another divisional foe that they've beaten now 16 consecutive times.
Yep.
There was a lot going for the Chiefs in this matchup. They got healthy, they got right. And they went out there and put an absolute show in the first half. And Trevor, we have to talk about it, man. We have to go first and foremost with the goat-to-goat connection and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
My goodness.
29 consecutive targets, 29 consecutive completions. That had what they say the chance of that happening is 1 in 3,000. So it's virtually impossible for what they did. What they did to start this off was illogical. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce converting on their last 29 targets, and ultimately they got broken up at 30. But the fact that these guys now have 50 touchdowns between them, the fact that they are putting up numbers that, unlike anybody outside of maybe Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning, and even Tom Brady and Gronk, they're starting to put them on their tailpipes. They're starting to create some distance between them two. If they can keep this going for another couple of years, man, this is going to be without question the greatest duo we've seen in the history of the NFL. And I already think it is, because in the sample size they've given us, no one has been more productive in a shorter sample size. They've only had 5.5 seasons together, and we've never seen this before in a 5.5-year sample size. Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning had about we need to get our headset. Then I didn't know Book was going to. Is Book joining us tonight?
Book is joining us, but we got to get our headphones.
Oh boy! Hey, you know what, Trevor? How about this? I'm going to go get our headset because we're just wheeling and dealing here. Trevor, give me your take on Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and what you saw, especially in that first half, because that's where I want to start off.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, let me just give you Travis Kelce's stat line. Travis Kelce's stat line was 12 catches for 179 yards and a touchdown. I mean, the connection between those two guys is just it's something that I think that we haven't seen, especially not even just between a quarterback and a tight end, as far as just overall yards and just the ability for Travis Kelce to find those spots in the zone defenses in the flat, or doesn't matter, over the middle. I mean, the fact that when things get tight, things get in the red zone, they continue to find each other, right? And it's just something the defense knows that they're going to look for each other. The defense knows this, and they still continue to find ways to get it done. And it's got to be, like I was saying during the game, I was telling Lance during the game, it's got to be so infuriating and frustrating for these defenses to continue to know what's coming, and you still cannot stop it. That has got to be, that's the biggest flex, I think, in the entire league. If any team has a flex, this is the biggest flex amongst all teams, amongst all duos offensively, between what Patrick Mahomes has with Travis Kelce. It's just something that's, I mean, it's something we've never seen before, especially here. I mean, we're talking about, Chiefs Kingdoms, who had the great, Tony Gonzalez here, with all his statistics and everything. But I mean, Travis Kelce is not too far behind, man. If this thing continues to go on for another 2-3 years, who knows what record books could be, what things can be reset in the record books. So that connection, the 0.00003% of chances of that connection hitting, what was it, 27 straight completions? 29 straight completions. I mean, man, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our guy Book in here, but man, that's the story of the night for me for sure.
Let's make sure we hit that the setting as well, Trevor, so we can hear him. But yeah, that's the whole point. Before we get Book in here, is that's why I wanted to start off the show, because this is what won this game for the Chiefs. That first half between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce just playing pitch and catch. The fact that you saw them establish that early and often, being able to create just backyard football, man. The chemistry was just on full display tonight. You just felt like there was no stopping them. And when Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes get into their rhythm, there's just nothing you can do about it. Could you stop the other guys? Sure. You can stifle out an MVS. You can stifle out a Sky Moore, or Kadarius Toney, even a Rashee Rice. But once Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce start getting connected, it opens up everything else for everybody else, and it just becomes that much easier for this offense. It looks fluid. That's why I said a couple weeks ago, you see the conviction and the fluidity in Patrick Mahomes, the way he throws the ball to Travis Kelce. When he throws to everybody else, there's sometimes you see, man, I really hope he hits this route. I really hope he hits where I'm going to throw this ball. He doesn't have to worry about that with Travis Kelce.
Well, because Travis Kelce's got 5 yards of distance between him every time he gets open.
It's incredible. Book.
There's nobody there.
I did not know you were going to be here tonight, and I'm so glad that you are, man, because we're here to celebrate tonight. We're celebrating tonight.
We are here to celebrate.
Couple Yingling Oktoberfest. And the reason we're bringing October into the equation is because the Chiefs just wrapped up the AFC West. Not officially, but officially, if we're going to be honest here. They got about a 4-game lead. We got an Oktoberfest to celebrate October division winning. That doesn't happen very often in the NFL, but by God, it happened. Book, how the hell are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm pretty mad that I'm not in Kansas City. I was supposed to be there at the game, but unfortunately, my flight got canceled at the last minute, and on top of that, I kind of twisted my knee, so it kind of, played out the way it was supposed to play out. I'm just happy that we came away with the W, like you said, with Travis and Mahomes, man, that was unstoppable in the first half.
It was, man, without question. That's where we start the show. I want to add a little bit more to it and keep continuing with the offense on the first half, because that's pretty much where the offense was for the entire game. They only scored one touchdown in the second half. We saw for the first time all season MVS decide, you know what, I'm going to get involved tonight. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break open. I'm going to continue my routes, because we saw in the Vikings game, kind of quit on a couple routes that could have ultimately been a scoring drive. We saw a penalty take away a touchdown from him against the Bears. It's been very frustrating. MVS he's been averaging 6 receiving yards a game for the last 3 weeks going into tonight. And I don't know what his score, he had 3 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown tonight. So he pretty much outdid his season tonight, because he didn't have a touchdown, very few receptions.
About damn time.
MVS had turned into a man tonight. He's the highest paid receiver on this team. Showed up, showed out, and what I saw from him, I'm very glad it happened, because, like I said, it made everything easier for Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball downfield. It opened up everything else for everybody else, and that's what I wanted to see. Also, the fact that Rashee Rice is showing that this guy is going to be something special in this league. His yak yards are insane. Being able to run over another grown man the way he did late in that game. Ended up having 5 receptions for 60 yards and 1 touchdown, averaged 12 yards per reception. This wide receiver room as a whole, I thought had a good game. I thought they had a very solid game. There were standouts, like I said, MVS and Rice really stood out. McKinnon had a big touchdown taken away from him out of the backfield. Pacheco is showing he's a dual threat by catching another touchdown this week. He's on pace to have almost 500 receiving yards this season. This guy is absolutely becoming a dog in this offense. What did you see from the other receivers? Because obviously we're acknowledging and we're praising, we're heaping praise, rightfully so, on Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But what did you see, Book, from these other receivers, and do you think they're going to continue to build off this?
I think they saw the threat of Mecole Hardman coming back, and that kind of woke them up. You know what I'm saying? Anybody's job is on the line. Just because you're there last week don't mean you're going to be there next week. I know we pay some of these guys a lot of money, and they're kind of going to be there. But the threat of just having somebody come in and take your position or take your snaps away from you is going to step up your game. And the fact that he was there, I think Mecole did great when he had the opportunities. But everybody else stepped up. All the wide receivers stepped up this game, and it was great to see our offense look a little bit familiar like we used to see them, do in the past. So I think everybody stepped up. I think Travis Kelce just was unreal. He's unstoppable. And if you can get him down the field in any capacity and making plays, that's going to open it up for the rest of the whole offense.
Now, what we saw from the offense in the second half, and I want to stay on offense, and then we're going to go to defense to wrap up the show here. That's going to be like the final section of what we're breaking down here from this game. The offense went into I don't want to say look, I would love to give the Chargers credit here, but there were several instances in that second half where big plays were negated on terrible penalties, or the Chiefs just decided to make some really bad decisions. I remember when they were pinned back. Either it was I think it was the very end of the third or early in the fourth. They throw that little side pass to Clyde. He was in the end zone, so even if he had caught that ball, he would have gotten hit maybe on the 1 yard line. Just questionable calls, the fade route to Rice down the field on 3rd and 3. I didn't like the way the Chiefs were calling the plays in the second half. I felt like they were anticipating that the Chargers were going to make some real adjustments. I felt like once the Chiefs just kept going with what was working, there was nothing the Chargers could do, because they just don't have the personnel, and quite frankly, they're just not as good. They're not a good enough team to stop this Chiefs team when they're clicking, and the Chiefs were clicking on offense. So I was very frustrating. What I will say, though, and I'll tie the bow on this for the offense, because I don't want to sound too negative, because they put up 31 points tonight, and that's something you always want to see from this offense, who has been struggling to score points on a consistent basis.
We covered the spread, yes.
Absolutely. Cover the spread, held your opponent under 20.
Finally.
That's the big point. But the point is, coming into tonight's game, I don't know if you guys knew this. This was the 7th game of the season for the Chiefs. The Chiefs had only scored 5 second-half touchdowns for the season. So scoring that touchdown in this second half was very big, because they needed to show that they're not going to play this game where it's like, hey, listen, we have a decent lead, let's just try to survive. No, they went out there, and this is where Mecole comes into play, because obviously we can talk about his punt return, which was humongous on that final drive, the final real drive, 50-yard return, which set up everything, which was so poetic, because he comes back down, he makes a big play like that, but he puts it on ice by converting that third down that ultimately set up Isaiah Pacheco on the dump-off handoff screen that resulted in a touchdown. That is what juice does. And this is what we talked about on our show this week, Book, is when you have a guy like McColl, he may not be a needle mover, he may not be a wide receiver one, but he brings juice. And what he did in that punt return brought juice, brought confidence. You saw how pumped Patrick Mahomes was on the sideline, getting set up on the 35-yard line of your opposition. That is ideal as it gets, man, and that's what set up them on a scoring drive. So all in all, the second half, although it was very frustrating, I felt like they did enough to really, like I said, add to the equation and complement what they did in the first half and put a bow on this thing. What did you see from the offense in the second half?
I think we got really comfortable with having a 7-point lead. I think the fact that we had that lead and our defense is going out there finally playing the way that we like for them to play and giving the ball back to us. We wasn't really threatening the ball downfield like we were in the first half because we had that 7-point lead until we got late into the fourth quarter where it was decided, are we going to settle for the field goal and win by 10 or go ahead and get this touchdown and really spread it out and win comfortably. But I think second half we got comfortable. Their defense adjusted and double team Travis a lot of times in the second half to where we had to depend on other options as far as trying to run the ball, get the running game established. Running that clock was important, and I think that's the game plan we had. As long as we had that lead, I thought we played comfortable enough to just, try to win the game.
What did you see, Trevor, in the second half?
Well, I mean, the second half, it did feel like and I'll say this, I'll give respect to where respect is due. I mean, they have a lot of good defensive players on that team on the Chargers, and they haven't been very good this year, but they still got talented guys. So they definitely made their adjustments, as did the Chiefs, because, we'll get to that. But overall, as far as our offense goes, there was some penalties and some boneheaded plays, like you said, after throwing that ball to Clyde in the end zone and trying to get him to make something out of that. Luckily, he didn't catch that because that could have been probably worse because he could have got hit and maybe fumbled it out of the back of the end zone. Or they could have forced a fumble and they get a score there. A lot of bad things could have happened there. So I'm glad he dropped that pass, honestly. Don't like that play call there when things are that tight. Throw the ball downfield, and then the very next play to Rashee Rice, just felt like a dead and waste of a possession in my mind. But overall, man, it was a battle. There wasn't. I mean, as far as all the scoring going on in the first half compared to the second half, the defenses adjusted and did their jobs. Right, the offense did their jobs in the first half, and the defense showed up and did their jobs. It was a defensive second half. That's sometimes the game goes that way. But it was ugly. Our possessions until the very end weren't very good. But I like that we were aggressive the entire time. Yeah, we weren't taking a lot of simple plays. Pat was still chucking the ball downfield, still trusting MVS to get out there and make some catches. And he made a big catch on the stretch in the second half again. Looked really good. He wasn't quitting on routes. He was continuing to move around and find the spots in the open field when the plays were breaking down and Pat was rolling out. That's good to see from MVS. That's something he can build on. And honestly, save his year and have a really big year. If he can continue to play like that downfield and keep moving around, and Pat will find you if you keep moving around, find those open spots in the field. That's how Kelsey finds success. So if those other guys are doing that on top of that and they want to double, triple Kelsey, other guys are going to break open too. So I love what I saw at MVS today. But I loved the aggressive play. Like you said, Book, they didn't settle for the field goal in the end. They went for the kill. Yeah. Right? They cut their throat. And that is what we've been missing. We haven't been scoring touchdowns enough. We've been having way too many empty trips in the red zone. We were scoring on these red zone trips. We had a turnover, near the red zone today. I don't like that either. But outside of a couple blunders, man, I think the second half we did what we needed to do. The defense was incredible, but the offense did just enough. And when it mattered the most, we were aggressive, and we went for the kill, and we got it. 31
points, 483 yards of offense, insane. 25 first downs. They went 6 of 11 on third down, which is always what you want to hear when you're converting over 50% of your third downs. Patrick Mahomes completed 76% of his passes and threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. That is about as cake as it gets. That's about as money as it gets. What I will say is this, and this is it's not even a pushback, it's a challenge, because I was very satisfied with what I saw from the offense as a whole. Nearly 500 yards of offense, you score over 30 points. Patrick Mahomes was just diamond all over the field all game. The Chiefs have a lot of other winnable games coming up when it comes to bad defenses. You have the Broncos coming up. It's in Denver, sure, but the air's thin out there, which means Patrick can air the ball out really easy out there. And he loves to play in Denver.
Yep.
Then you have the Dolphins, a team that can trade with you, but that's a very beatable defense as well. You have the bye week, and then you have a very beatable secondary in the Philadelphia Eagles. Great team, but that's a very beatable secondary. And you go down the list, You start talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills, who just took an L to the Patriots. You're talking about the Raiders. You're talking about the Raiders again. You're talking about a banged-up Bengals team, and then you have the Chargers again and Arrowhead West, which is known as SoFi to some. That is what the Chiefs have left on their schedule. Those are a lot. So what I'm saying is this, guys, because I've been waiting for a game like this from these wide receivers to have a real game. Okay, I don't want this to be the fluke. I don't want this to be the, hey, remember like 6 weeks ago when MVS did something? What happened to that guy? No, it needs to be something they build upon. I'm not expecting them to have 500 yards of offense every week, but you got to build upon this. Go into Denver next week and put up another 30-burger. Go out there and show that MVS can go out there and produce again. Show Rashee Rice he can do that again. Dual threat Pop and Isaiah Pacheco can do that again. Build upon this. Build upon the confidence that you just set out there against a very formidable divisional foe. Now, let's move to the defensive side of things, guys, because this is really where I want to sink my teeth into this. I know this is Book's favorite thing to talk about as well. The first half was rough, man. I will just come out and say it. The Chiefs' defense looked as bad as they have all season long. Now, look, I get it. It's Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen's having a great season. You know, you have Austin Eckler. You have names out there. You have a good offensive line.
Kellen Moore is a hell of a play caller.
Yes,
Give him
Kellen
credit.
Moore's a great OC.
Definitely.
Awesome. So I will give the Chargers enough credit to say, you know what? It's okay. They can have the Chiefs can have a clunky first half. What I didn't like, though, Vaughn, is when you have veteran free agents the Chiefs go and sign a couple of years ago in Justin Reed, going out there on one possession, giving up 2 receptions on third down, and then missing on a tackle that Kelly ends up taking into the house for over 65-yard touchdown. Those are things you cannot allow to see happen against better opponents, because this is the kind of team that you can get away with that against. You can't get away with that against the Eagles, the Dolphins, and teams like that who are coming up on your schedule. And so I didn't like that on that drive. I felt like there was too many open receivers too often. I felt like they were playing too soft at times. They weren't getting enough pressure up front. I will say, though, however, there were several times I saw Mike Danick, Chris Jones, Omenahu getting held, and they were not calling them. But you can't use that as an excuse. You have to find pressure. They ultimately ended up doing that by getting 5 sacks on Justin Herbert tonight,
from
which
5
is just
different guys.
I mean, you're talking about, real quick, look at the stat
crazy.
book. Listen to the stat real quick. Going into this game, Justin Herbert had been sacked 10 times all season. He got sacked half as many of those in this game alone. He got sacked 5 times tonight. So
by 5 different players, and one of them wasn't Chris Jones.
It went from 10 total sacks all season to 15 in one game.
That's crazy,
so
bro.
This is what this defense does. And again, they had a very rough first half, and I'm not going to excuse what I saw. They left a lot of opportunities out there for the Chargers. They made it easy for the Chargers at times, running all over them, converting third and longs, things like that.
Dang.
But what I will give the Chiefs defense credit on is exactly what we talked about in the Spoken this week, Trevor. I said, we know that the Chargers are going to be aggressive on 3rd and 4th down.
Yep.
They held the Chargers to only 1 4th down attempt, and they held them to 6 of 14 on 3rd down. So the Chiefs did their job at the end of the game, and I said they were going to hold them to 17 points. What do you know? 17 first half points. Looks like the Chargers are going to score 30. They don't score another freaking point in this game because this defense does what they've been doing all season and clamp down in that second half, forcing multiple turnovers, sacking Justin Herbert 5 times. They put on a masterclass in the second half, and again is one of the biggest reasons, even with this, we don't know the extents of it yet, but we know that Nick Bolton, one of the generals on this defense, did go down with a wrist injury. They said sounded like he was in a lot of pain, so hopefully it's not as bad as it looked. But even with him out, Drew Tranquil went out there and stepped out, and that is why he's been one of the biggest assets. Charles Omenahu going there being an absolute madman, getting multiple sacks today, passes deflected, pressures, everything you could imagine. We waited 7 long weeks for this man to finally be able to shine in this defense, and what did he do tonight? He was a dog in this defense.
All over the place.
An absolute dog. And so this defense, man, deserves all the credit for that second half for literally putting up an eggshell in the scoring category and giving the Chiefs offense enough to say, you know what, guys, we can ease into this second half. It sucks. We don't like this, but we did enough, and we got this victory and won by double digits. Book, what did you see from this defense tonight?
I think our defense overall played well. I know the first half, it seems like we were giving up a lot of yards. They were going back and forth with our offense, but that you got to give credit to their offense and their offensive coordinator. That is a good offensive team. Also, the adjustment that they had and going quick huddle or muddle huddle or whatever, that kind of confused us. We weren't ready for that second immediate play most of the time. Where I know when I used to play, when teams used to do, go no huddle or something like that, we'll call 2 defensive plays in the one huddle. Therefore, right after that play, we already got our second play. Nobody's looking to the sideline. We already know we're going to run just put your hand on the ground, line up, and face up and be ready. They caught us off guard about 3 or 4 times to where, that was part of their game plan, though.
Right.
And it worked for them. Just like with what we did with Kelsey. That's part of our game plan. If we're going to give it to them, they're going to give it to us, we're going to take it. And that's what they did. In the second half, our defense looked like all year what we've been expecting of them. Coming off the ball, getting pressure, DBs showing up, batting balls away, and eventually getting that interception at the end. So I think overall our defense looked great.
Yeah, let me say this. First of all, prayers up for Nick Bolton. Hopefully he doesn't have a broken wrist, because that's definitely what it looks like. He was screaming in agony when a guy that's tough as nails is out there, screaming in agony over a wrist injury. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but it looked pretty bad. So I'm hoping Nick is all right, first and foremost. Second, man, listen. We hold a wide receiver, another elite wide receiver one, to their worst game of the year. Well, first, Justin Jefferson, we held him to his worst game of his career. And then Keenan Allen with 4 catches for 55 yards is his worst game of the year so far. And he's been a game wrecker. He's been single-handedly winning them games, because even with Austin Eckler out, he was still single-handedly, damn near winning them games. So he's been incredible this year, and we held him, to his worst game on the season so far. It took the secondary guys, Josh Kelly getting up, a random breakaway run touchdown. Cool, I guess. It's going to take those secondary guys to get that, and then Joshua Palmer had a pretty good game against us. But at the end of the day, we held one of the better offenses in this league to 17 points, under 21 once again. No one has scored more than 21 points in this defense yet this year, and we played several of the top offenses in this league already. Exactly. And shut them out in the entire second half. They didn't score a point.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to criticize the defense much at all. I know we looked a little rough when we had some whiffs in that first half, but that's a good offense, man. Listen, everyone wants to crown the Cleveland Browns as possibly the best defense in this league. They just gave up 38 points to Gardner Minshew and the Colts today.
Right.
It's the NFL, baby. Points are going to be scored in the NFL. We just gave up 17. I'll take that. Under 21 every single week. This defense is rolling, bro. I think this defense is arguably the best in the league, if we're being honest right now. We continue to shut down the number one threat in a very Belichickian way, taking away the number one option on all these offenses and doing it very efficiently. And we're getting after the quarterback, and we sacked him 5 times, and he's been sacked 10 times all year. I have no criticisms, really. I know there's a few broken plays, and that run by Joshua Kelly was unacceptable. Overall, this defense did their job on an elite level once again, man. So I couldn't be more proud of these boys.
I love to put the stat out here, Book, because it's something I started this stat 2 years ago, and I'm keeping it going because the Chiefs defense continues to hold oppositions under 27 points. The Chiefs are now 61-4 in games that they hold their opponent to fewer than 27 points in the Patrick Mahomes era. So it just continues to climb, man. And 2 of those losses are freak games from the Colts. So it's really just a couple incidental games here and there without Tyreek Hill and Eric Fisher in 2019 against a Colts team that ran the ball for like 250 yards, like freakish things like that. But other than that, man, 61 out of 65 games that they've held their opponents under 27 points, they've won. Great. So this team, man, they're really starting to show on both sides of the ball, because I was starting to worry in that first half that, oh, God, of course, the offense starts to click, and now the defense is starting to show a little bit of a weakness here. And then what do you know, man? The defense just resurrected itself. I've been telling people all season that I think this is the best defense in the AFC, and I think they showed it again. Because even when they gave up a little bit here and there in that first half, and they did give up a little here and there in that first half, like Trevor said, like you said, Book, and I'm saying it again, they put the clamps on them in that second half and kept them out of the end zone, kept them out of the field goal range, they kept them out of everything, forcing turnovers, getting pressures, knocking Justin Herbert on his ass, making things happen, putting pressure on the Chargers where they had to be reactionary. Because you're right, Book, I hated the fact they were doing that hurry-up offense because Spags loves to rotate defensive players. He didn't get that opportunity tonight as much. So they did put the Chiefs on their heels, but they adjusted to that adjustment, and they showed that they can get things done. So all in all, man, an incredible victory. I really do believe that the Chiefs put this division on ice, and now we sit here and we wait tonight as we watch the Eagles take on the Dolphins. And if the Dolphins slip up and lose this game, the Chiefs are in sole possession for the 1 seed in the AFC. And now that we're halfway through the season, we have to start really paying attention to these things because these games are going to start mattering more and more. So I want to get your thoughts real quick on this game coming up. I know this isn't about the Chiefs, but Book, I don't know if you're going to be watching this game or not tonight, but I'm going to be watching it really close. Are you expecting
I just ordered some pizza. I'm watching it.
There you go. So what are you expecting to see tonight, man? Do you think that the Dolphins are going to find a way to win a road game, or do you think the Eagles are going to get this one out at home?
Really, I'm hoping the Eagles win this game just because of the Dolphins, are in the AFC. But it's going to be a great game. It's going to be pretty much like what we saw with the Chiefs game. There's going to be a lot of offense. The defense is really going to be the determining factor of who's going to win this game, I think. I think the Dolphins, Tyreek is going to have a great game. Everybody on the Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to put together a great game. Again, it's going to come down to defense. Whoever defense can stop the opponent's offense the most, that's the one that's going to win. That's what I'm going for.
Trevor, who do you got winning tonight?
I'm going Dolphins, man. I just think the firepower right now, and the defense of the Philadelphia, the secondary has been getting carved up.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think it's going to take a heroic game from Jalen Hurts for the Philly to really win this game. And I know the defense of the Dolphins hasn't been great, but they get after the quarterback pretty well. And Jalen Hurts has been underperforming in a lot of areas, if we're being honest. At the end of the day, his stat line looks okay, but the way they've been winning games, they've been winning pretty ugly, and they had an ugly loss last week. But I just think. I think Tyreek is a terrible matchup for this secondary. I think Jalen Waddle's coming on right now too, and then they activated Jeff Wilson, who's a solid running back, to add to the mix with Raheem Mostert, who's been arguably the best running back in the league so far this year. He's been incredible. So the play calling of Coach McDaniels has just been outstanding, and I expect that to continue tonight. I think it's going to be overwhelming for that Philly defense. If they don't get to Tua and make some plays on Tua, I think it's going to be a long night for that defense. So I'm taking the Dolphins.
Everything Trevor just said made 100% sense, which is why I'm actually going against it. The Dolphins
because NFL. That's why.
Yes, the Dolphins. This is a crazy stat, guys. I don't know if you've seen this one yet or not, but with Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins have not beaten a team with a winning record in over 400 days.
Sure.
So we're talking about over an entire calendar year, they have not beaten a team with a winning record when Tua has been playing. So I think the Eagles, knowing their struggles, they don't play the same way as the Chiefs, but the Eagles remind me a lot of the Chiefs in this season of they haven't really found their way in some areas, but I think they're going to find it in a game where they know they need it. And I think the Eagles are going to find their way tonight. I think the Eagles are going to run the ball for over 200 yards tonight. And I think they're going to control time of possession. I think they're going to make Tua have to make some big, risky decisions. And I don't think that's the way they want to play. I know they like playing aggressive football, but the Dolphins also love to play a very balanced offense. And I think if the Eagles come in here tonight and control time of possession, keep down the turnovers, I think they'll win a very slow-paced, surprisingly not as high-scoring a game as you'd think. I think more of like a 27-24 kind of game, because if we remember, the one game the Dolphins, or the two games rather, the Dolphins have played that they didn't score a ton of points was against the Bills, and it was against the Patriots, two teams that like to control the time of possession, that like to make big plays in big times, and I think that the Eagles are that team, and I think they're going to get some things right tonight, and we're going to see A.J. Brown absolutely eat tonight because Jalen Ramsey ain't back. But before we get out of here, before we get to our final segment with Book, Trevor, is there anything that you've seen in the chats that we need to bring up to respond to? Because I know that people got their opinions, man. I want to get Book and you guys' opinions on whatever people have out there.
No, nothing too crazy. I've been making sure to get everybody's comments that's come through on the screen, so they're getting their time. But just a lot, honestly, overall, I think my takeaways is everyone's happy and encouraged by what the defense did in the second half. And everyone's very happy and encouraged with McCole Hardman being in the mix again. That 50-yard kick return, him being in the mix and then making that super clutch play at the end of that last final drive of the game. So overall, I think just overall positivity in the chat, man. Nothing too much to contribute, but everyone's just happy to have McCole back.
I don't know how you couldn't be happy to not be happy with McCole.
He was all smiles on the sidelines too. It was just good to see.
Made two big impactful plays at the end of the game when it mattered most, when you needed to put the game on ice. The man's got juice, like I said, and he brought juice. And like Book said from the very top of his take tonight, he goes, "You could tell these wide receivers like, shit, we got to step our game up because McCole's back, and this is a man that got experience. Yeah. He's a Super Bowl winning player in this offense and in special teams. This dude's going to bring it tonight." Yeah. And that's what happened tonight, man. He didn't fill up the stat sheet, but when he needed to make a big play in special teams, he did. When he needed to make a big play in the offense, he did. That's what the Chiefs needed from McCole tonight, and he's going to continue to build off this. And what's exciting, guys, the Chiefs have 2 bye weeks coming up. They got the Broncos, and then they have their actual bye week. So I'm really excited about where the Chiefs are going to be at for the next couple of weeks, getting prepared for the Eagles and the Dolphins coming up. But Book, you know what we got to do, bro. Before we end off every single show, we got to literally hand that ball off to you. It is time for Book It with Book. Book, you know we got the Broncos coming up this next week in Denver. What say you, my brother? What's the prediction?
My prediction for next week's game against the Broncos, I got the Chiefs, of course, winning the game by 20.
Yes!
With that high altitude air, I feel like our defense is going to really come together and just shut down their offense completely. I think we're going to win by 20.
Yes.
Yeah, it was too close last
That's
time. We
what
don't
I'm
like that.
talking
It was
about,
too
dude.
close last time.
I want a stress-free game, Book. Is that too much to ask? Because tonight was close to
That's
it.
all I need.
Like, you kind of felt like the Chiefs had the game tonight, but there was still like some stress and anxiety in that first half with the fact that the defense wasn't stopping the Chargers like they normally do. But, man, I would love nothing more than go into Denver and put some boots to asses on those Broncos guys. I would love that. I hope you're right. You usually are. So I appreciate the fact you're doing that. And so for everybody that's watching this, everybody that's listening to this, again, cheers to you guys all. Trevor and I are using our Yingling Oktoberfest because the Chiefs just solidified yet another AFC West championship. I'm so glad that our guy Book was here tonight. I didn't know we were going to have him or not. He showed up. He did his thing, and we couldn't be more appreciative of that. So, Book, thank you so much for what you do here, man. We're going to be talking really soon about what's going to happen in this next week's time. So do not miss next week's show, guys, the post-game show after the Broncos game. And do not miss Trevor and I on Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time as we give you our preview and prediction. We might even add to that Booker prediction. I might even have to, steal that prediction as well because I might 100% agree with what Book just said. But you'll have to tune in and find out regardless. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy this night. Chiefs are 6-1, atop of the division, atop of the conference, atop of the world. Damn it, we're having a blast. You guys enjoy tonight. Maybe get yourself a couple Yinglings because Trevor and I are going to continue to enjoy them. We love you, Book. We appreciate all of you guys. And until next week, talk to you later.
Later.
All right, guys.